everybody, I'm Hayley.
And I'm Kayli.
And today, we're reviewing Nosferatu.
Ooh.
Is that even how you say it?
I don't know. That's how I say
Nosferatu.
it. Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
I don't think it's that one.
Nosferatu.
Ooh, that's it. Come on, Bill Skarsgård.
Thank you.
Yes, so this is a reimagining of the source material from 1922, which is a retelling of Dracula.
The book?
Yeah, the book.
So there's Dracula the book.
And then
they made Nosferatu the movie.
Yep. And now we have a whole bunch of, Dracula,
Lore.
Nosferatu stuff.
Okay.
And now we're here with Robert Eggers. Basically, we're following Ellen and her husband, newly wedded, newly in love. And Ellen's background, trauma-based, basically. Lots of trauma, lots of sleepwalking, lots of communing with spirits, supposedly. And she's entwined with Nosferatu from the jump. And then there's this whole nefarious scheme going on for these two lovebirds to get back together. Could you call them lovebirds?
No.
Lily Rose Depp in interviews says that this is a love triangle between her husband, and Nosferatu.
It's a love story with Count Orlok as much as it is with her husband. There's a real love triangle there, and especially like my scenes with Bill. Rob wanted there to be like a palpable sensuality between the two characters, and I think that serves the story as well because it makes things so much scarier.
Great. So we love trauma.
Not sure I think it was a romance. Because I did see a lot of people online going, this is for the romance girlies. And I'm like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, I don't know either.
Because according to what I've seen nothing but constant harassment and abuse from her very, childhood.
Right.
Up until now.
Because basically what she does is like most lonely people do. They pray for someone, something to talk to. And Nosferatu is like.
He picked up that phone.
He said,
that call.
Ring, ring.
He said, you're looking for companionship?
I'm your friend.
Yes. And then proceeds to harass her.
For her whole life.
For her, until she finds, her husband. So I think it subsides. And then I guess he kicks it in. It was like, no.
He said, girl, back to me.
He said, that's my girl.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Hayley, what'd you think of this movie?
I mean, overall, I liked the movie. I thought it was well done in terms of like cinematography. It definitely had a very gothic feel.
It was beautiful.
Had a lot of beautiful shots. So sorry, there's something on my chin. So I really liked it overall. I know people said it was kind of slow. I mean, it was definitely a longer movie, but I didn't feel like it was slow for me because I definitely was interested in the story. But yeah, I would say overall, I generally liked it. What about you?
I will say this. I think this is my favorite Robert Eggers movie, but I also feel like this might be one of his worst movies that he's made. To me, this was giving
the favorite movie, but
of mine,
of yours.
But I also don't think I like Robert. I've said this before. I don't think I really love his movies or his style.
So why would it be the worst one he's made? Wouldn't it be the best one and your favorite?
No, I think that this one has a very different feel to it. I feel like a lot of it felt like a play, or like I never was fully immersed in like this was like a story being told. I think it had a lot to do with like moments. I don't want to say it, but I don't think the acting was that great, in my opinion.
Okay.
It was giving forced. It was giving, this is a play. This was giving high school play, theater, maybe. But there's moments where like you could tell that the camera was right here and Nicholas Hoult was running in place. And that was what was giving like I wasn't immersed. It felt very play-like. It felt like this was a stage. I wasn't ever worried about these character safeties or anything because I knew this was all play pretend. I didn't buy into this is really happening to these people.
It's very theatric.
Right. Very much so. And so that's different.
By chance? I don't know. Like,
if
is
that's
that something
his goal,
that be...
I don't know. But like his other movies, like with The Witch, from what I remember, it was very immersed. Like these felt like real people. Like I also don't know if it's because his source material is different. Because I feel like with The Witch, he read journals, he read, different things that were going on during that time period and built characters that were like in that period. With Nosferatu, it's a lot more folklore. It's faker stuff. It's not as real as like the witch trials back in the day. And so I wonder if that's why it also feels different. But that's why I think this is like his worst movie, because I think everything else used to feel very immersive. Like this was a real time period we're looking into. This one felt like a lot more like play acting. And that's why I think I liked it more.
Okay.
But I don't think it's his best. Editing Kaylee here. So what I think I'm meaning is that Robert Eggers' movies tend to feel a little bit pretentious, in my humble opinion. And I feel like with Nosferatu, we lose the pretentiousness, but we also lose like the character development and like the research-backed feel of his movies. Like with The Witch, like it's very much, you know, a character study based off of real experiences. With Nosferatu, I feel like you kind of lose that. So I think that's why I kind of like it a little bit more, because it loses the pretentiousness, but I don't think it makes it one of his better movies. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Boom, bam, bomb. Thank you. My opinion. But I will say, the only reason why I thought this movie was long was because the movie theater was freezing, and I was like, good God. I felt like I was in the movie with them. I saw my breath. I saw theirs. I was like,
Oh no,
girl, it was cold, bro. Anyway, so that's the only reason why I thought it was, I could feel the length of it because I was freezing my balls off. But other than that, I don't think it was a bad time. I just don't think that this is his best work, but it was bad for me.
that is your favorite film,
From him, yes.
but you feel like the other ones were better, but they may not have been your favorite because it's not your taste of style.
I think so.
Or is that what you're trying to say?
I think so.
Okay.
Because I
Accept.
watched The Witch, and then I learned that he put in a lot of work and effort into the background of the movie itself, like creating it. And that's when I was like, I respect the effort.
You could see it more.
Right. Okay. But that didn't mean I liked the movie at all. But I respected the craft behind it.
Look at you.
So this is the background I've learned. I don't know if you've learned anything else, but Robert Eggers has been wanting to make this movie for a very long time, and they didn't pick it up in the beginning. And like 10 years went by, and now they finally picked it up.
Proved himself, and they're like, fine.
Basically. He sold The Lighthouse before he sold this movie, which I think is crazy.
Very interesting. I mean, I haven't seen The Lighthouse, but I've heard about it.
About it, indeed.
So now I need to go watch that one.
He said that Nosferatu was like a very big impact for him when he was younger.
Like the original 1922 film?
Movie that we watched, which we can talk about. That he was very impacted by it, and like he ended up, there was something that happened where he was like he had the opportunity to put a play on with like one of his friends for Nosferatu on the stage, and that's what solidified to him that he wanted to be a director.
That's his movie.
Right. Well, that he wanted to be a director in general.
Oh, just period.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, this is a very monumental movie for him, and making this movie, I think, was very important for him. I think he's very skilled and crafted when it comes to making a scene. Like, everything looked really nice, and everything was very intentional. That's where my compliments end. No. I think it's fine. Oh, Bill Skarsgård, who plays Nosferatu.
He plays Mr. Nasty.
Right. So that is his real voice.
Okay.
He trained with an opera singer to lower his voice like a whole octave. Pretty cool.
And the rolling. Sorry. That's all I can hear is heavy breathing and rolls of the R's. He'd be like, I was like,
yeah.
You know, he's got that thing, that little spice about him.
Yeah, he's got something about him. I think that was like my biggest issue with Nosferatu, is that I couldn't understand a word he fucking said.
It was a little hard to understand what he was saying. I didn't know if anybody else knew what he was saying either. Seemed like they did.
Lily Rose Depp knew.
They were
knew.
Telepathy. They had that.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, there were some moments where I just got general ideas of what he was saying, but I could not understand. I needed some captions, which is fine. But I think I was just like, I wish I could pick up what he's trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought he did. I mean, he's always playing some kind of an interesting character. So, I mean, I thought he did pretty good. Mm-hmm. But I will say, like, the design of Nosferatu.
You didn't like his mustache?
I was going to say something, but yes, the mustache. I think that it was a little bit, not silly, but.
Yeah.
So I thought the mustache was just like a fake. Like, later he was going to rip. Like, I thought it was a disguise to make him look more human in the beginning when, what's the husband's name?
Hutter.
What?
Hutter, I think.
When Thomas went over there. So I thought there was a little bit of like, you know, disguise.
Right. He said, haha.
But it wasn't a disguise.
No.
So I think I was confused. Because he's supposed to be, from what I was gathering, a cursed human, now demon, who is, you know, cursed to roam the earth and be evil and suck blood and can't be in the sun and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So I guess I was expecting something, I don't want to say scarier, but it was a little like caricature-y a little bit. And
Yeah.
then he like was clinging to the little bit of hair that he had. Even James was in the movie. He was like, "You don't want to cut that off?" But yeah, there's a scene where the back of his head, there's like 3 little strands. And I was like, so I understand that, you know, he just let himself go. being a demon and all, but I'm like,
as you do.
There's a few things. I'm like, so is he half dead? I'm assuming he's dead. You're a vampire, you're dead.
Right.
You can't die.
Right.
Okay, because he was like kind of rotting. I'm like, so when does he rot completely?
Mm-hmm.
Is he on his way to rotting? I just had a lot of questions. I think I had more questions than the movie was offering about his backstory.
Yeah.
Because even when I think Thomas found the book, or whoever found the book where it told you how to kill Nosferatu.
I think that was Willem Dafoe's character.
Yes. So when the doctor, or the more eclectic doctor researcher, when he was reading it, it was like, this is how you kill him. And I'm like, how many are there? Is there one Nosferatu?
Is this often?
Is there multiple ones? Because in the original 1922 version, they say, this is how you kill the Nosferatus. Like plural. So I think I was a little bit confused. And then I was like, what's going on here? That might be more information than I just want. I always want more background information for some reason. I'm like, what's going on? Where's he from? Why is he here? How many of them are there? Because it's like how to kill Nosferatu. I'm like, well, does he do this every 100 years?
Right. Is there,
what are we doing?
How many Nosferatus are out here kicking it?
Right. So I think that was just kind of that for me. But I mean, overall, I thought it was good. There were just like a few questions that I had. Also, like in the village when Thomas was first trekking and he went to the village, and then the people there, the gypsies, I think that they referred themselves to. I don't know if that's offensive to say.
Don't know.
Say gypsies? I don't know, but that's what they said in the movie. When he saw them doing their ritual.
Yeah.
What were they doing with that girl?
Don't know.
Same thing. They said, you got to get a bad bitch. Pick your baddest bitch. Pick your biggest soldier.
But then they killed.
Thank you. I thought they're going to sacrifice her to the vampire,
right.
But it looks like they just brought her out there. They killed the vampire.
To lure him.
Maybe he was awoken. He said, "Is a bad bitch afoot?" He said, they said, "Dead, die."
We knew it. We knew you were a vampire. That's how they do the test to see who's a vampire or not when they're dead. So they open up all the caskets. They bring back a bad bitch, and they said, "Who's vibrating?"
Whoever.
Oh, who's raising?
They said, "Get him."
Get him immediately.
Put on a horse.
Right.
Anyway, so I don't know about that. I think I was, but obviously they're doing something. They're killing vampires. I wanted more on that too. I just want more. So there are a few things. I'm like, what's going on? But you know what? Besides the point, we get it. There are cultures out there from the area. They know about it. And nobody wants to listen. I'm so sorry. If you're telling me my wife is back there crying, begging me, tears, spit, don't go, I'm about to throw up, don't do it. And then I get out there and then you're telling me that these people in the village are like, where the hell are you going? You shouldn't go there.
To be fair, they don't speak the same language.
No, but at least the main head honcho of their tribe or their group, their village, he was like, you don't need to go there. There's a woman over there praying, stressed.
Right.
And then you see the ritual. You see that man who's supposed to be dead throwing up blood because they just stabbed him with a stake.
Right.
And then I just heard yesterday, you're telling me there's magic things in the forest or whatever, and it's not good. Mm-hmm. And then I roll up. And there's a carriage
like that?
drawn.
Right.
No.
Oh, before that.
Before we even get there, there's a carriage with no driver.
Right. Pretty cool.
Stops automatically.
Come on, Tesla.
He's like, this right? He's like, ooh, new technology. No.
Opens up the door.
I would have turned around so fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you know.
Well, to cover something that you said, the costume design the design of Nosferatu.
Okay.
So from what I was hearing from the director, he was saying that Nosferatu, the original one, they wanted to take what was like given in the Dracula description and make him more creature-ish. Like he is like undead, more of like a creature than a man trying to seduce women.
For the new one. Or what do you mean?
For the old one, for 1922. That's why he looks the way he does in 1922. He looks more ghoulish, more scary. And like when after that, you know, we get Dracula where he's a lot more handsome,
dashing,
and
handsome,
charming, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's what he was saying, and that's what I'm understanding. But for this movie, he wanted to keep in that theme of keeping him more ghoulish and scary and looking like that. And
which
then he
is
was
fine.
And which I like the different take on.
Why's he got 3 hairs?
That part.
I guess a creature.
Right.
It's giving beast.
Beauty and the Beast look a lot better than that. But he was saying that, so he wanted to keep it looking like that. And I guess he saw some like folklore about vampires back in the day before like Dracula came out, where they were like maggot-ridden corpses, basically.
Which would make sense.
And then he wanted to give him a mustache because he said that, like, I think it's like a Bulgarian man is what he's going for.
So they're like literally...
He's like, a lot of Bulgarian men have bushy mustaches. So that's why I gave Nosferatu.
That's why his survived.
Right.
Even in his afterlife.
That's the one thing he took care of.
He said...
Never hit leg day, but he had that he had that mustache.
He didn't hit the gym once, but he said, I will never let go of my
stash.
His culture.
Right. This is who I am.
Because, I mean, I got that, but I'm like, if he literally has no hair... This is a balding, decaying man, but his mustache is thriving. Like A1?
Thriving.
Even had color to it still?
Right.
That's why I thought he about to reveal.
It's me.
Yeah, he was like, ha!
I'm actually dead.
He never did. He kept showing up like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I think a lot of people are giving him a hard time for the mustache. And the interview that I watched him in, he was like, I dare you to try to find someone Bulgarian that doesn't have a mustache. I was like, calm down, Robert.
I said, no, I get it.
Robert.
The accent was enough.
Right.
It
might have been too much.
Yeah, it was like that's
the accent was a little too much.
He's the undead. We don't have to. He doesn't need
a mustache.
The mustache,
right?
Because he didn't have literally any other hair.
Yep.
We literally saw that man's no square.
Unfortunately,
he's literally bald everywhere.
That's why he kept it.
He said it's all. That's what is it, Mariah Carey? I'm doing the best of what I got.
Exactly. So. Also, obviously, Nosferatu from 1922 was a big influence for this movie. And we watched the movie, the original movie.
We did watch the 1922
Did you watch it before or after?
After.
Me too. And, like, watching the original 1922, you can see a lot of the influences.
It was the same movie.
Yeah.
Except, old-timey.
Yeah, and the characters were a little bit different. Like, the husband was, much more, like, eager to, like, fucking dip. My guy was like, I can't wait, bitch.
Yep.
I get to travel. And he was very excitable. So I also like the highlight of making Ellen, like, the main character in this movie. I feel like everybody kind of split screen time. I don't think that Ellen was, like, the main character, but that's what they said.
But they gave her more backstory because in the original, she's just, like, the fair maiden. Right. She has her little moments, but it's mostly everybody else.
Right. And she, in both movies, was the one to come up with a plan to sacrifice herself for the better good of everybody around her.
Yes.
So I do like the highlight of that. I think there was one little bitty part that I didn't love.
In the original?
In the new one, in Robert Eggers' part. I understand that in the 1922, they were very lovey, the couple was, right? They loved each other, they kissed each other a lot, and they can't have sex scenes in 1922. They can obviously have a sex scene in this movie. I feel like the adding of the sex scene
between the two, or between Thomas and Ellen,
Ellen,
there we go,
was ridiculous.
Well, somebody said,
please tell me.
I was on the internet and people were talking about that, like, not him being horny based off of what she was talking about, but somebody was trying to say that he is also still under the seduction spell, because they're saying even man or woman, if you're getting your blood drawn from a vampire, it's a very
sensual thing.
Very sensual. It can be sexual. It's like a euphoria. It's almost like you're in. It's because even when Thomas was originally getting,
sucked. Right.
Where he was,
it was very sexual.
They were levitating, and this man's moaning.
Right.
So they were saying that he's still kind of somehow intertwined in it a little bit, to where he's not like under control, but because he's been with
the same man,
the man that she's being seduced by, it's kind of like this. Now, if that's what you want to say, the love triangle, you know what I mean? Love abuse triangle. But yes, they were trying to say that was like, they weren't necessarily in the right minds. They're just like heightened and like, that's what they were saying.
I get the end. Like, if you want to show like the intimacy scene between Orlok and Ellen, sure, because that is what it is. It's very sensual. He's sucking her dry, and that's his bride, and it's all about that kind of stuff. Sure. But I feel like that scene was just a little like weird. It was giving flashbacks to The Idol. I was like,
you just felt like it was a little like,
it was
not
too much.
fully needed.
Not at all. And then like, I was already kind of uncomfortable with like all the moaning that was happening in her sleep anyway. She's like, oh, he's coming for me. I was like,
girl.
I was just like, oh, I'm over it. I don't want to be a prude, but I'm over it. It just seems so unnecessary. We always have to go the whole sexual route. I'm like, bro, The end scene, I think, was the most necessary part. The part with her and Thomas, super unnecessary.
So we didn't have to have that
at all. She said, let's show him that our love is strong.
And it wasn't. Maybe she was like, this is the last time we're going to be together because she's going to, sacrifice herself. So she's like, let's
after she literally insulted him, talking about like he is way never, better than you. I'm like,
he's like, she's just possessed. And she's like,
she said, right. So let's talk about this. Oh, before we move on, my favorite scene from Nosferatu, the original one, where that man was coming to his new home and literally moving his coffins into his new home.
I was so upset. He's doing all his own dirty work. Where are his servants?
Because whenever he was packing up, he opened up the lid and he levitated in there. He had the lid levitate on there.
Yeah, and I'm like, you had all these powers, but he's out there. He has like low mana or something.
He does.
He literally had to stack his own his own like
caskets,
I guess so, or his own wooden transportation vessels.
He needed all that dirt because it's like the dirt from where he was born. And,
or where your land is from, or where you were buried originally. Yeah. So it was funny. He's literally carrying his coffin to his new flat. He went from a big old castle, and he's like, I'll just be in that apartment right there,
right
across the way. And he's like in
the window. Ellen, you have a beautiful neck. Yeah.
So but in the original movie, did he want the wife only because he saw the locket?
Yeah.
Okay. Because they added the extra haunting when she was a child.
Yeah.
Part. Okay. That makes sense.
So what he was also talking about too is that back in the day, Robert Eggers was talking about that sleepwalking was supposedly linked to the other realm. And like if you're sleepwalking, then you could convene with other spirits. And so that's what Ellen was doing in both of these movies. They were sleepwalking, which I never heard of that lore before, but I think it's kind of interesting. So that's how she ran into Nosferatu, I guess. Calling for a friend, got an abuser. But so, okay, let's talk about the love triangle. Because to me, Nosferatu was much more of an allegory for like abuse and assault and not a good thing, because she was like, he's my shame. She seemed like whenever it was a very traumatic experience for her most of the time that she talked about him. So I thought it was more of like a metaphor for like women who have been traumatized in some way.
I've also seen it was supposed to be a metaphor for her or for women's sexuality. Like back in the day, it's shamed and it's like you can't.
Yeah.
So I kind of see that, but I guess in the overall storyline, I don't know where that necessarily fits. But like, obviously, like whenever she was going mad, they're like, oh, it's because she's a woman, Right. It was kind of like her being repressed in her sexual desires and like women back in the day. And then they just, so I'm like, I could kind of maybe see that, but I guess the abuser part is so glaring.
Right.
That I'm like, I don't know how to call that. That would be her sexuality.
That's what I was kind of,
to me, because I'm so sorry. Like the first scene, it seemed like she was being actively sexually assaulted.
That was so jarring to watch whenever we first start the movie.
Yeah, the movie starts, and from what I'm seeing, she's being possessed and she's assaulted sexually.
Yeah.
Then later we find out she says that first encounter was when she was supposed to be a child.
Right.
So I'm thinking, oh, this is really bad. Like, this is not.
Yeah.
Because originally, every time I heard about this film, before I watched it, a lot of people are, this is a romance. This is a gothic romance. This is giving romance. So I thought it was going to be more of that. But I'm sorry, I can't say romance when the first encounter was when she was a child and it was against her. Like, it seemed like she was being overtaken.
Right.
And he was taking advantage of the fact that she might be, because she
was
obviously
just lonely. She wanted companionship.
Lonely, and her powers may not be there. Like, it's not like she's actively trying to figure out her psychic or her spiritual powers.
Right.
She's a child, according to the film.
Right.
So he's taking advantage of the fact that she doesn't have awareness. She's not used to the spiritual realm. She doesn't know what's going on. She probably is not very powerful. And he takes advantage of her and assaults her. And then continues to torment her.
And he kind of knows that too, because whenever he comes back, he's like, we need to like renew our vows, basically, because
as if that was them.
Right. Because like
married?
Yeah. Because like he was saying like, oh, it has to be of your will, and like you have to say that you want to be with me, blah, 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 blah. So it's like he knew that the first time that they were together, it was a trick. Like he took advantage of it.
Yes.
So he also knows that
we need to do this consensually.
For this to be a love triangle, I think is very bizarre. I don't think that's what this... That's not what I got from the movie.
I was also not getting love triangle.
At all.
I mean, now if you want to say she's under the spell, or she's then okay. But like, I can't in good faith say that she was a willing participant in this, because it seemed like
it did not seem that way.
And just
at
because
all.
something feels good or something gives you euphoria does not inherently mean that, oh, now she likes it. Like, she's
Right.
obviously saying that it's very tough because it's giving her this high or this euphoric feeling, but she's also being tormented.
Right.
But I don't want people to get that mixed up with, oh, now she likes it. Like,
Right.
that to me is that doesn't go together.
Right.
That's not what that means. To me, that was my interpretation.
Mine too.
So it means like he obviously, like, when, I think it's no secret, but a lot of the movies, vampires, when they're feeding, it's a very euphoric feeling, like we said earlier. So I'm like, that's kind of just the name of the game with that. But it's also, I think, it's kind of the whole point of them doing that. So then humans get addicted, or they keep coming back, or
Right.
it's kind of like a negative, like almost like a drug, if you will.
Right.
Just because you feel good taking drugs
Doesn't mean
that's a good thing, or
for
now
you.
we're here
Right.
and now you're not, Anyway. So I definitely have an issue with people trying to say that this is some kind of a romance and like meaning it in the way that she is in love or really liking Nosferatu. I mean, in the end, she decides that she needs to take him down. So I'm like, it's not like she decides to run away with him to the castle.
Right.
She literally dies so that he can't continue this stuff anymore.
Right. The bubonic plague that he
brought over here. Or
Girl, what a
he's
time
doing.
to be living in.
No, they're sick. The rats were running amok.
That's crazy.
The ship
Imagine just
docked.
a ghost boat because everybody's dead.
Mm-hmm.
They crash land into your port and there's a whole bunch of rats, and now I have the bubonic plague on
Yes.
my land.
Literally. The rats were there and they're like, we need to get somebody. I said, if y'all don't get y'all guns and
Right, start
yeah,
something.
light that boat on fire and send it back.
Yeah. But yeah, I just don't get love triangle. I get like you are traumatized and you're trying to ask for help and nobody is helping you or listening to you because you're a woman.
Yeah. Except for the one guy.
Yep.
William Dafoe's character.
Willem Dafoe's is the only one. But then even he was like, yeah, girl, you got to go ahead and die. That's the way. He said, sorry.
Yeah, he said, I read up on it too. But I mean, but it was interesting, his character. Like, it seems like he did have a respect for her. He was like, you are our savior. Or in a past life, you would have been a high priestess.
Yep.
He's like, so it's unfortunate that she's in the times that she's in because it wouldn't be received very well. But like, as for the other villages that are smaller, there's obviously more reverence and respect for that kind of stuff elsewhere. But it's just unfortunate that
Where she is, yeah.
where she is, there's nobody to.
It's hysteria, not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She just needs her husband. Please.
Well, it seemed like things got better when he was there, so.
I guess so. It was an interesting film. I mean, I think it was definitely a different take on the vampires. Seeing an unattractive ghoul
Womanizer?
as
Right.
the kind of center of a lot of the sensual scenes was just definitely a take, because usually vampires are very sexy, very alluring,
charming,
they're
yeah.
charming, they look good, and this was kind of not that. So it was definitely an interesting take on, I think, the original story, and just kind of making it a little bit more, I want to say real, but like really bringing it to life. Because had I seen
he
the
is a
original
monster.
Nosferatu, I don't think I would have known what was going on very much. Like, it was very much like I could tell what was happening because I'd seen the other movie.
I agree.
But they're kind of running back and forth, and I was slightly confused.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I would have received the original film had I seen it first.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I would have got that there was a bubonic plague. Because I saw the rats and they were saying something, and I was like, why is there, I was like, well, thank God I know that Nosferatu brought the plague.
Yeah,
I think I would have just thought there were literal rats that just like came over on the boat or something. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And then like
But-
they showed like Willem Dafoe's character in the movie. Like he's a doctor, but I don't know what he is. But they showed him in the original one, and there's like just one scene where he's like talking to his students about like life and
Carnivorous
nature.
plants,
And I was
yes.
like, okay.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have
was
understood
it.
his character very
Yeah.
much. That he's like supposed to be the more spiritually
In the movie,
connected
I don't think he
doctor.
was. Or in the original one, I don't think he was. I think he was more nature driven. But I think having the differences between the doctor who is like the more medical doctor and then like Willem Dafoe's doctor, I think having that in the movie was really cool because you get to see both sides of it, like the holistic
Right.
side and the spiritual side, and then like the science side.
Yes.
So I think that was a cool addition. I think he did a good job remaking a movie in a new way. I don't think he took away from the original. I think he did a good job of adding his own flair to it. Tristan was like, why do y'all as in women, like vampires? Y'all are kind of weird. Because if you look, there's a lot of shows and movies where there's an attraction between women and vampires. There's True Blood. There's Twilight.
Vampire Diaries.
There's Vampire Diaries. And there's lots and lots and lots of Draculas.
Listen, the bad boy pipeline is deep.
And that's what I was telling Tristan. I was like, I think it really comes to like that dangerous bad boy.
It's even though that's like a whole nother level of dangerous bad boy, but it's kind of like, oh, but he's scary, but but not for me. He likes me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what I was telling him too. I think that's what it is.
Very interesting. You're like, you just won't get it. You won't get that. He's like, and I never will. So that's actually insane. So at the very end of the, when Nosferatu and Eleanor are
getting on,
were they actually like full on like engaging in that activity? Or was he just like drinking from her blood? Because I couldn't tell. I didn't know. Not that I like need to know, but I was like, is this like, because I was like, is this just more like he wants to suck her blood really bad, or is like he really wants to like,
I was kind of confused because I assume that vampires don't be fucking.
I also was like, well, he's the undead. Like, does that thing work?
Right. Because in some, there's True Blood is very sexual. They are having sex and biting and stuff like that. Twilight, she gets pregnant. Mm-hmm. So, like, obviously some vampire stuff, they do both. But I don't know if the original is, like, laying it down and doing that.
I don't know. I was going to say, side note, so, like, in Twilight, everybody was questioning why Edward could get her pregnant, because technically in the lore of the Twilight series, the vampires can't have kids. Well, one, because the men like stop producing because they're the undead, they stop producing. But they were saying online that it's because he had not had sex for like hundreds of years, so he just like threw out whatever was left,
and that's how they made their beautiful child.
And she's a human. Yeah, but they're like, it's because he had one loaded in the chamber for hundreds of years.
That's good to know. Thank you. I always
You're
wanted
welcome.
That backstory.
So that's why I'm like,
maybe that's what happened.
It just depends, I guess, lore case by lore case. Like, what do they
lore case by lore case?
Whatever the lore is for that specific thing.
Yeah. Oh, Hayley, what do you give this one? Closing
5?
Thoughts. Yeah, 5 rating.
Give it a 3 out of 5. A couple things that I'm like, but overall, I think I liked it. I liked the way it looked, the vibe it had. I was like, I thought it was pretty good. I was intrigued. I'm like, what's gonna happen? So I think that's where I land.
Yeah, I give it a 2.75 out of 5.
Very good.
I think this is my favorite one, like I said. But it wasn't a good movie to me, and like I felt like everybody was like a little bit shallow, a little bit one-dimensional. I also couldn't hear sometimes, so maybe just put on captions every time that Nosferatu talks. Yeah. Because at first I did not know he was speaking English, and I was like, where are the captions? And then I was like, oh, he's speaking English. But I felt like it was just a little like one-dimensional when it came to like the characters. I feel like his other movies seem to be very character-driven, like they feel real. These ones I felt were just, they weren't up to that capacity. But maybe one day we'll just have to watch all of Robert Eggers' movies and line them up and see which ones, are good. So. But yeah, good time to watch it though. Honestly, it was very cold whenever I went to the movies.
Yes, Christmas horror. It's giving Nightmare Before Christmas.
Don't shame Jack and Sally like that, bitch.
Sorry.
No.
The original Gothic lovers.
I like that though. But also Jack is a fucking menace.
Yeah, he
said, we're all doing this. No, everybody's like, we like Halloween. He's like, good. But we're getting rid of it. And we're doing fucking Christmas.
He was annoying.
He's a menace. But I love it. He's so woe is me. At the end, when he gets shot out of the fucking sleigh.
He's dramatic, like he could die.
He's like, here lies poor old Jack. I can't get that low.
No.
I need to be like
You need to be like Bill and get some, what do they call lessons. It? Yeah, vocal lessons from an operist. Operist?
From an authorist?
Operist.
Oh, an opera singer.
If that's the term.
But anyways, that was Nosferatu. That was the beginning. This is like my first time in the theater since 2025 started.
Since last year. Anyway.
But yes, if you enjoy cold themes and cold dead hearts, you'll love our Instagram at Hayley and Kayli. Because all we have are cold, shriveled up hearts. We have the TikTok at Hayley and Kayli for now. Don't know if that's getting banned. We have that. Mm-hmm. What else do we have, Hayley?
We have a YouTube channel. If you're watching us, yes, we're at Hayley and Kayli. We also have an email at presspodcast@gmail.com where you can email us all of your comments, questions, concerns, and any movie recommendations you have.
Yes. So let us know what you thought about Nosferatu down below. Is this your favorite Robert Eggers? I know The Northman bombed. Like, that's his worst movie by far from everybody. So maybe that will be my favorite movie.
Literally knowing you.
I'm the opposite.
Yeah, it's gonna piss me off, but
so yes, let us know what you thought about this one down below. And I don't know what we're talking about next time, but when we figure it out, I guess we'll be talking about it. Until next time.
Bye.
Toodaloo.